Hey everybody, we are back. We're gonna do some explosive creation here at the Burger Table with Tyler, all the way from the Bards College. How you feeling tonight, man?
Feeling fantastic, getting ready to explode. I'm gonna be honest, don't have much of an idea of what we're doing. I know dice are involved, and I know we're creating characters, fun homebrew stuff. So right up my alley. Very excited.
Nice, I like it. You don't need much of a primer to get into it. It's system agnostic, but it is very like a 5e person is gonna feel right at home. It's very like Bow medieval fantasy coded. You can definitely
Sweet.
stretch it out from there, but you'll take to it like a fish to water. If you do not know, if you haven't visited the Bards College yet, there are links down below. Tyler's doing some awesome stuff. You did recently, fairly recently, you did a like Dungeon Masters or Monsters, and I was like, ooh, what does that mean?
Yeah, 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 yeah.
And I found out like I'm part. Like depends on the night you catch me, I think, most of the
Right.
time, or like when in
Yeah.
the night you catch me. But I am part pit fiend for sure, and part goblin. Just like, yeah,
Okay.
we're all here to have fun, but I'm also here to make sure that like there are consequences to your actions. So do you
Right.
really
Yeah.
want to do
Big
that and make
time.
a bargain with me? Like,
Yeah. I think based on my own analysis, definitely part dragon. Hence, my huge collections of minis and DM kits like we talked about in our last video together. And then look at the other ones. I feel like I definitely do have some goblin tendencies though. I'm the kind of DM who like my players will suggest something dumb, but I'll be like, but is it funny though? Like goblin and that if it makes me laugh, we're gonna explore that route. If you say something that I'm like, that's funny, let's see where it leads to. So goblin dragon, I think for me for sure.
love it. I also have like a touch of Hill Giant. I do need
Oh,
snacks. It doesn't have
sure.
to be it's not the focus, but like I get munchy. My brain's burning a ton of calories.
I
I got to
get that.
feed the engine.
When I used to play in person, I feel like I was like the anti-hill giant. People would be like, "Hey man, we've been playing for like 4 hours. Can we stop and get pizza or something?" And I'd be like, "No, we're in the fiction. We got to keep going. Like, come on. We only have 2 more hours before I got to head home. We got to make it count." So it's so funny. So many people are like, the snacks are part of why you play D&D. And I remember one time my players were doing it was like a big battle they were in the middle of, and we had ordered pizza, so we stopped. And the whole time we're eating pizza, and I'm just like please get back into it. I'm like, please finish this pizza. I gotta get back to this. I'm like, I was so in it. I gotta get back in that space, please. So it's funny. I'm almost like anti-hill giant. I'm the kind of person like I'll make dinner after D&D. I gotta focus on my prep first. So that's so funny.
Interesting. Love it. Um, Man, okay, cool. Let us get into this. I'll explain the premise. First half, we're working on the player facing side.
Yeah.
Second half is more the Dungeon Master's hat. We are going to be working ostensibly with think of background from 5e. We're going to work off of a character archetype. You are allowed to choose one if you like, or we can allow the dice to decide. So if anything is calling to you, let me know. Otherwise, yeah, roll a D100.
Yeah. I will roll a D100, I think. We'll leave it up to the dice. Also, wow, I think I'm impressive. I read a couple pages of notes. This man wrote a book out here. That is incredible. Fantastic. All right, let's see.
Took a
That is,
while.
yeah, I bet. That is a two.
Two acolytes. All right. Keep it tight. Two. Um, you're known for bards. Let's see if we can. An acolyte could be a
Sure.
bard. So
Yeah, could be.
couple ways to do this. I suggest rolling one of everything. We're going to roll a
Great.
4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 20. If space is tight or whatever, we could do it one at a time as well.
Okay, great. So
So,
just work my way up. Start with the four. That is a one on the D4.
okay, if we're doing one at a time, hold on to that. I'm going to write that
Oh,
down, but
okay. Sorry, gotcha, gotcha.
give me the D20 first then.
Oh, okay. So, gotcha. Gotcha, gotcha. Yeah, I guess I could have looked at the screen. Okay, this one's on the left. Generally, that's how you read things. Okay. D20 is going to be an eight.
Well, yeah, I mean, anyone at home, you're welcome to do this however the heck you want to.
Sure, yeah.
That's the deal with tables. We got an 8. So this is our drive, our dream, our aspiration. What is our motivation? At least
Okay.
to start, what's driving our character here? Preserve the faith by combating corruption.
Okay. Very cool.
So we're getting some, well, yeah, it makes sense. Acolyte, we're getting some religious overtones, but that could go a
Yeah,
couple
right.
different ways.
Yeah, makes sense. All right. D12. Call to
D12 is your
adventure. That is
call
a
to adventure.
12.
12, a distraught pilgrim begs for their help.
Very cool. Very cool. D8. 3 on the D8.
From a blind follower to a free thinker. So potential character
Oh,
arc.
okay.
This is the
Yeah,
kind of
yeah,
stuff I
potential
like.
oath.
Yeah, I like to discover through play, but like having like some idea helps you kind of like lean in one way and look for opportunities.
Yeah, for sure. And it also makes it, if you have an arc in your head and then things happen in the campaign that change the trajectory of that, I feel like it's almost even more powerful than if you just go in like, yeah,
Mm.
whatever happens, happens. So I think that's very cool.
All right, so let's take a beat. What are you feeling on this character so far? Because this is your character. I'm just here for the ride.
Sure. No, I
Um,
like it. I like the idea for me. So I think a lot of the stories that I do in DMing and I think in real life in general, religion can be such a positive force in people's lives. It can do a lot of good, but there can also be a lot of corruption. And I think playing around with that in D&D is a very cool way to explore that space in a way that's super safe. So I like the idea of being this kind of acolyte who grew up in the temple, who had to learn all these religious psalms and rites and everything, and like is a true believer, but then maybe somebody comes begging for help, and that kind of exposes them to some of the corruption that's within their church and their cleric belief of whatever God. And they kind of go on that journey into being more of a free thinker and thinking for themselves and figuring out, like, well, what does my faith mean for me? And maybe it's not necessarily what I was taught. I think that's really cool.
yeah, juicy. Okay, so D4, we got a one. This is a friendly faction. Maybe we're a member of this organization. Maybe we just have some sort of relationship with them. The Gardens of Serenity, a vineyard and abbey, keeping a vow of silence and a powerful secret.
Ooh, I mean that dovetails so nicely into like if you're going through this arc of uncovering corruption within your organization, maybe that secret, who knows what that secret is? Maybe it's something that kicks them off on that journey. Maybe it's something they learned later on that maybe explains some of the stuff that they didn't understand before. I think that's really cool. Also, I'm a nature guy. I love the environment, animals and wildlife. So being part of this beautiful garden sounds very nice.
Yeah, it seems like a place I want to visit. Like I,
Yeah,
I just want to
right.
go there, hang out.
Yeah, that's on the top of my Faerun, my travel itinerary for sure. Go to the Gardens of Serenity. Yeah.
Um, for D6, we're to drill down to an asset and ally, a friendly NPC.
Okay, cool. That is a 4.
Four, Markham Veldar, a noble who supports the order to compensate for personal debauchery.
Again, hey, that makes total sense if you're going on this route of like corruption. Almost somebody who maybe you start out the adventure as like this close ally, this close friend, this benefactor. Maybe they're sending you on missions and stuff, and then eventually you learn like, oh, there's all kind of a front for them to just do all this shady stuff behind the scenes. It's all fitting together. This is a well-written book. Yeah.
Well, thank you. Part of it's the dice speaking, but yeah, you're getting there's a lot of connections here. I
Sure.
feel
And
like Markham is
then
drinking the fruits of the Garden of Serenity, maybe.
oh yeah, for sure. I mean, it's a vineyard for a reason, right? You got to use it, so makes sense. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's awesome.
All right, so the D10 is the only one where big number good. This is
Okay,
trinkets to and magic items.
okay, come on, 10, 7.
Seven, okay. Holier symbol improves potency of any magic under the deity's divine domain, which is very
Yeah,
well. That's other systems too, but all right. Are you getting a vibe of like class here? I mean, cleric is right there whenever you pull acolyte, but there's other ways to go.
yeah, for
What's
sure.
what are you
I
feeling?
mean, cleric would be the obvious choice. I do feel like a little bit of druid, a little bit of ranger, especially I could see like if it's a garden, right? And so much about gardening is about like you're making stuff to be eaten and consumed and turned into things. So I could see like a ranger vibe. I don't always like what Wizards of the Coast does with rangers and how they
Mm,
flavor the class, how it actually plays at the table. But I love rangers as a concept. So honestly, I might lean a little more kind of rangery of like here's this almost like scavenger type who's going through and yeah, they follow a god, they have a deity, and they have their symbols that help with their nature magic, which fits rangers pretty well too. But yeah, why not mix it up? Cleric is too obvious. I kind of like a ranger vibe for this guy.
yeah, and you got like that like pilgrimage. You're keeping the ways clear, the paths safe for people to
Mhm.
to travel. And I'm all
Yeah,
for there's a million gods in the pantheon. You can go real nature with it. The
yeah,
Earth
exactly.
Mother vibes and just yeah, I dig it.
Yeah, I love it.
Shout out. shout out to friend of the channel, GM Jim. His warden is probably out by the time you're seeing this. Jim fixed the Ranger in a lot of ways. My take is the problems with the Ranger are in the game system of the current edition of D&D. It's hard to
Sure.
fix when you don't have like the exploration pillar is weak if it exists at
Yeah.
all.
Yeah, and I think they did a good job. I did on my channel like a review of the new Dungeon Master's Guide, and I think they did a pretty good job of like trying to really give a little more ideas for what you can do with exploration, trying to get players to. But it is tough when it's like, hey, this ranger, they're a master of survival, and so many tables are like, who cares about your food and water? You make it fine. You don't need that. You know what I mean?
Mm,
So much of
mm.
it, like the travel and that part gets abstracted just to kind of get to the good parts of the game that it is tough when you're like, okay, well, this class is kind of supposed to do that. So where they fit in elsewhere. So I agree with you. I feel like some of the issues are baked in.
Oh man, I mean, tangent here, but you're
Yeah.
you're a fellow outside enthusiast nature guy. I
Yeah.
have a
Yeah.
pet theory that there's a lot of nerds out there who have a hard time making outdoor exploration interesting because they're indoor cats. And the
Oh,
idea that
sure.
there's like no adventure to be had out there is wild to me. That's like where the cool stuff's happening.
Right. Yeah, it is funny because again, I wasn't around back then, but from what I understand of kind of old school D&D, so much of it was like in the city was where you were safe. That's where you counted your
Mhm.
gold and that's where you rested up. And then you leave the city, you go into the wilderness, and that's where the adventure happens. And now it's like, no, no, no. The cities are where all the stuff is happening, the political intrigue and the role playing and the secret societies and everything. And yeah, there's some ruins out there in the countryside, and you might need to go into the mountains for this and the desert for that, but so much more of the game happens in like urban settings that a lot of that travel is like, oh, well, you're just getting to the next cool part. And I also think it's also, some DMs are so focused on the destination and not the journey, which is perfectly fine. Like that's absolutely okay to run your game that way. But I really like that feeling of like these characters are on an adventure and they're trying to get to that place. And so how do you make it feel like, hey, going between towns, that's part of that journey too. And I want that to be memorable also. And so yeah, I agree with you though. So much I do think part of it is just people maybe don't have that deep understanding of nature and maybe not the same respect and love for it. And I think that definitely applies a little bit.
I love the idea of like, and I don't do it often because players don't love it, but I like, all right, you went down to the depths of the dungeon and slayed the monsters, and you're loaded up with magic items and precious gems, and your coin purse is so full to overflowing that you clink when you walk. And you are 4 days away from anywhere that's safe.
Oh,
Like, let's see if
yeah,
you get home
right.
to
You can get all this
enjoy
stuff
all of
back.
this. Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's why spells like, tensor floating sphere exist or tensor floating
Hmm.
whatever disk. So you can pile all your gold on there and carry it with you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's like
that's
this
so funny.
statue's worth 10,000 gold pieces. How are we going to get it home?
Yeah, you don't have a barbarian in the party. Good luck. I don't think that's fitting in the bag of holding. Yeah, that's awesome.
Cool. Okay. Anything on the player's side before we turn the page here and get more into like the world building game master side of things?
I don't think so. I really like that. I mean, I think it's such a cool system for generating this character, and I think it is very like I guess why people use RAM tables in the first place is it's so easy to just get your brain going. And so just I don't know. I was really stunned by how all of the dice really connected, and it really kind of told one really great story about a guy leaving and seeking to find corruption in their temple and stuff. I think it's super cool.
Yeah, I mean I'm a huge table guy, obviously. I built this stupid thing and named the channel after him. But I didn't want to make a book of like, here's a cool like here's a character, play this one. It's like, oh, here's little tidbits that you can't help but start to see the connections between, and you're gonna make cool stuff. And it helps me make different cool things, right? Like if I come up
Yeah.
with a character, unless I try really hard, it's probably going to be close to the last character.
Oh, sure.
Like I'm
Yeah,
gonna run
I
out of
get
it. Maybe
that.
I got 10 in me.
Right.
Um,
Yeah, no, this is so cool. Like, just such a cool tool. So yeah, super cool. Don't know what this ranger's name is. Really bad naming things. So hey, I don't know what their name is, but they got a cool story.
Okay, let us take our ranger on an adventure now. This is the next page. We're gonna roll a d6 to start.
Okay.
This is gonna give the dungeon master more than the player a faction, an organization that is not big fans of us for
Okay.
whatever reason.
Whatever reason. That's a 4.
Four, the Serpentine sect, corrupt clergy who use their influence for personal gain and pleasure.
That is
Right on brand.
again right on brand. I love the idea of this almost being like another doctrine within that church, or almost like a splinter group who like has just fully embraced that corruption side of it. And so again, kind of exposing their ranger to like, hey, maybe everything you learned is exactly how things are in the real world. You grew up in this beautiful, serene garden, but out there are a lot of people that take that and use it for ill-gotten gains, and maybe they don't like it when you try to you try to pull the rug on the corruption that they're benefiting from. So yeah, I mean, God, perfect, literally perfect.
Love it. Yeah, no notes. D6, snaky stuff, a snake in the grass, snake in the garden. I don't
Yeah,
know.
yeah,
There's a
snake stuff
metaphor
for
there.
sure. There's something there, yeah.
It's just like,
Cool.
they're lizard people. It's all
Yeah, it's all lizard people all the way down.
D6, a rival, an enemy, an NPC that maybe it's the BBEG, maybe it's just, our high school bully.
Yeah, that's a 2.
A two, the salted earth, clandestinely disrupting rituals and undermining faith to clear the way.
Interesting. Clear the way. I like a lot of too. We started with the call to adventure being like a woman or a person coming to the temple, like throwing themselves at your feet and being like, I need assistance and I need help. And maybe it's like maybe they're a believer or they're somebody kind of caught up in this sort of salting the earth approach. Like maybe their community is being destroyed, or maybe they live out in the woods where nature's a little more wild, and these people are trying to come in, at the garden, so they're trying to come in and control it a little bit more. And so like druids and woodsmen and women and stuff are getting kicked out of there. So I think that dovetails really nicely too. And like salting the earth is such like an anti-nature sentiment too, of like,
Mhm.
hey, we're gonna make it so nothing else grows here. But in a way where it's like, well, you got to cut nature down to control it and make a garden again. So that's very cool. That fits very nicely.
I like the kind of like the overlap of character classes of just like what's really the difference between a druid and a cleric and a
Right.
ranger, other than like their AC or whatever, like whether
Right. Yeah, yeah, yeah. What the skill checks they're proficient in. Yeah.
like yeah, having any character can have some very particular sense of faith. Well, a ranger could be best buds with the druid. He's toting
Yeah,
around a
yeah.
bunch of druid spells. Like the ranger, your character doesn't know what their class is at the
Right,
end of the
exactly.
day.
They just know they love nature. And may I can't turn into an animal, but I can really find stuff out there real well. I remember too, there was somebody, I don't know if it was something I read on like Reddit or something, or if it was the video I watched, but I saw some advice that was basically like, if you're living in a society where there's like at least a little bit of proof that the gods exist, most people would probably be pretty faithful, or like a lot more people would have faith as a part of their lives. And so I think players kind of are like, well, if I want to believe in a god, I have to play a cleric or a paladin. And if I play anything else, this is not really a part of my story. And it's like, well, that's so not true. Like, you can have that God, you can have faith, you can have belief in whatever in any class if that's what you want to do and that's how you want to role play. So I like the idea of being a ranger that kind of uses their faith in a different way.
Yeah. Yeah. Especially Forgotten Realms or Greyhawk, any of these settings really, beyond like Dark Sun. Like if the gods are not dead canonically,
Yeah, yeah,
then
exactly.
like,
Hey, if they're not there, then wow, that's tough. But yeah, I love
yeah,
that.
every once a year, because I have a fairly like decent like rotating cast of players. I like bringing in new people to the hobby. So like every year or two, I have to like, well, you could try to be an atheist. Your character could kind of be an atheist, but
Right.
like
Yeah,
that
yeah,
doesn't exactly work here. There's interesting ways to like be like, oh, I'm not on their team, or I think they're jerks or whatever.
yeah.
But
Right.
like, it's not a matter of belief because they
Yeah.
just show up and do things. Like
Right.
they're
Which
around.
honestly, I think that's almost more interesting in a lot of ways, where it's like
Mhm.
these things are out there, but you choose to reject them. And it's like, okay, well, why do you choose to reject? Is it the belief that it's your life and you want control over it, you want these eternal, immortal, powerful beings to control your life. Hey, I get that. That makes sense to
Mm,
me. You know,
mm.
so I think that's almost even more interesting in a way, is like to play a character who's like, yeah, maybe they're out there. They ain't getting my worship, you know? So I think that's pretty cool actually too.
All right, give me another D6. This is going to be an evocative location.
Okay. Two.
A two, the inner sanctum, a hidden area secretly accessed from within a public temple.
So again, I mean, with the theme of sort of exposing corruption, exposing beliefs, whether it's in the gardens before, whether it's, I kind of almost like the idea of going to a different temple. Maybe like you have these gardens that are like, look at this beautiful thing, which is kind of like almost the public facing side of things. And then you have this other temple that's more like, hey, here's where we do our business. Here's where the corruption is happening. And so having like, I'm a sucker for secret temples and secret hidden underground layers and chambers. If you DM for or GM for long enough, you're going to have underground layers. It just happens, you know? Half of stories take place there. So I really like that idea of like you're exposing corruption, and part of that is finding these secret places where societies like the salted, I'm gonna get it right, where the
Salted
serpentine
Earth?
sect and yeah, exactly,
Yeah.
the salted earth can all kind of come together and have, whatever nefarious things they're doing.
Dig it. Okay. D6, thematic monster. Maybe my favorite of all of these.
Yeah, I love a good monster. That is a one.
One, fallen angel. An avatar of the deity corrupted by evil to be purified or battled.
Very cool. Yeah, again, I mean, corruption is the theme of the day, So corrupted
Check.
angels, somebody who either, I almost like the idea of like sort of the angels of whatever deity this is or following almost being corrupted by the followers. Like the more people are kind of following from the true path or whatever you want to say, like the more this angel has fallen and kind of fallen into it. I kind of like that a little bit more than like, oh, they're a fallen angel and they're leading the corruption. They are, they're the bad person and that's why everybody else is bad. I kind of like it more like, hey, all the corruption within the church is what's leading this person's downfall. Because then it kind of opens up, I like giving the players options and how their story goes and what direction they want to take. And so you could take it in the direction of like, we need to kill this angel and get rid of the corruption. Or you could take it in the direction of, if we can heal our church, if we can heal our faith and get rid of the corruption, well, maybe we can heal this person too. And it's a net positive. So, hey, I love a boss battle as much as anybody, but I like that kind of keeps it open to go in different directions.
Yeah, and there's so many good. There's not a lot of good opportunities for like a celestial throwdown. It's like, why are we fighting? Unless you go like
True.
full evil.
Yeah, right. Yeah, like hey, this this guy is real, real bad. Yeah, not a lot of options to go fight a deva that your players being okay. I guess we're evil now. Sure,
Yeah, are we the bad guys?
Yeah, exactly. We're literally fighting an angel, so it's hard to really justify that one. Yeah, that very cool twist on it.
Okay, last stop on our tour is a D20. This is going to give us a plot hook, a story seed, adventure idea. Everything's been real tight, so maybe this ties it up in a bow, or maybe this is a
Yeah,
side quest.
way off. Let's see. That is a 12.
12. The origins of the faith, or their deity itself, is not what everyone believes it to be.
Interesting.
Eh,
I feel like I said
Interesting.
interesting like 20 times. Like every time I roll something, like, oh, interesting. Because legitimately very interesting. Yeah. um, no, that's so cool because I'm props to you because I love how open-ended these prompts are. Like, because you can take that in so many different directions, right? Like maybe the origins of the faith is different, and that is like the corrupt sect have discovered this, and so they're leaning into those corrupt origins. Or maybe like you're taught one thing, the origin are different. That doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad thing. Like I feel like so many people, and also we literally had earlier on that like, hey, they're keeping a big secret, and like,
Mm,
what is that
mm.
secret? Literally, the origins being different ties into that perfectly. But I like the idea almost too of like maybe the origin, you have this beautifully manicured garden that this person's grown up in, and like, hey, our deity is like giving us this nature to control and shape. Maybe the origins are actually they're a lot more wild than thought. And like actually nature was created to be this bountiful, wild thing. And that the order's kind of corrupting that and how they're shaping it into these gardens and with the salted earth sect that are doing that, the serpentine sect that are using it as a way to like make money and as a way to sort of like shield off their own debauchery, like our ally that we had in the beginning. I mean, hey, fits, puzzle piece right in place. I feel like that's awesome.
I like that a lot because my mind went to like the old switcheroo of like that in that secret underground inner temple is like, oh no, this is actually the deity that like we're channeling all of this whatever faith energy and like
Mhm.
monetary gains
Yeah,
towards, where it's like no, it's this you got it's the same god, you got the god right, this god of nature, but like you they thought it was like lawful good and have kind of devolved into like lawful neutral so they can profit off
right.
of it, and like this is chaotic good, baby, this is pure chaos, get that out of here, like nature is wild, you can't
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
get your laws out of here.
Yeah, get your law out of here. That's the moral of the story. Anarchy reigns. We need to move out of your homes, go to the countryside, plant a tree. That's the moral of the story, I think. But no, yeah, I really like that too. Because I do feel like so many times in stories, in like D&D, but also just in general fiction, the twist is always so negative. Like, ooh, you thought you were in this beautiful garden, but actually your god is the snake, and like the corruption comes because your god is corrupt. And I think that can be fine too. Like, so much of D&D is fighting bad guys. So that works just as well too. But I like the opposite. I like the opposite being more about kind of like what you were saying about like it's not about good and evil. It's about like lawful and chaotic. It's about
Mm.
control versus chaos. It's about nature that works for us and us working for nature. I think that's a really cool dichotomy, especially for this little ranger going on their pilgrimage.
Heck yeah, beautiful. Okay, anything else before we close the book on this one?
I don't think so. I mean, I I said this when we finished up on the last page. I am stunned by how perfectly it all works together. Hey, maybe it doesn't always go this smooth, like you were saying. I like it is so easy for me to just step by step picture how it goes from each one to each one. Phenomenal. I really cool.
Thank you, appreciate that. It is really cool sometimes how the dice will really tell the story, and this exemplifies that because like roll another set of dice, you end up with a very different sort of acolyte here.
Right, sure.
Um,
But it's also
and
so
I
nice. Oh, go ahead. I didn't
no,
mean to cut you off.
I'm a sucker for that sort of thing. Yeah, I
Yeah,
just
yeah. I also, I feel like I will get stuck sometimes because I'm so much like I need to come up with this next thing and like from scratch and what am I going to do? And for something like this where it's like, look, 10 dungeon masters could roll the exact same dice I've gotten to this point and come up with a very different story for this person and how their temple operates and who they're working with. And so it's so freeing to be like, well, the dice are giving me the prompts and now I get to go ham and just change it all up. So super cool.
yeah, I like. I used to think of this as like a stocked like pantry. Like this is the fucking spice
Yeah.
cabinet, right? It's not just, these are ingredients. This is not like you know, HelloFresh shows up and you just like add heat and it's a
Right.
meal. It's just like, oh no, there's like a bunch of different ways you could combine these things and like emphasize different elements of them and yeah, make
Yeah,
it mild
super
or
cool.
extra spicy.
Yeah, exactly. Super cool.
Oh, cool. Well, I mean, I had a great time doing it. Let's go back to the big screen here. Ba-boom. Yeah.
All right, so
We
now if you
didn't.
stick around, yeah, for the next 3 hours, we're going to be playing through this Ranger's adventure. Yeah, Ryan's going to be running a full 3 hour campaign for me. We got a lot to go. So,
Here we go. Yeah, if you want to do that, then the book did its job. That's a
yeah,
success. If you're like, yes, more, please. That's
honestly, yeah, like, yeah, it's super cool.
so Tyler, we got connected through Dragon Week. I mean, our paths would have crossed eventually
Yeah, right.
anyway, but you were kind enough to contribute to my Dragon Week video, and we all made some very cool stuff. Your video was about your dragon just doesn't have to be the BBEG. It can also be like the quest giver. This thing is ancient and powerful and magical and like knows what's up. And maybe you don't know it's a dragon to start.
Right. Yeah, yeah. Well, first I'll just say I feel like you were generous enough to have me in your video as well as half the community. So cool to be a part of like seeing so many people come together with the ideas and your stuff. Really awesome. But yeah, it came from so in one of my campaigns, I had a kind of hidden dragon NPC, and when it was revealed, this gold dragon was working with them, the reaction at the table was so strong. And so I think, yeah, people kind of forget that, hey, you can use dragons in a lot of different ways. They don't just have to be big sacks of hit points that your players are hitting. They work really well for that too. I love a good dragon fight, clearly. But yeah, I think it was a lot of fun to put together. And also, I think I make shorter videos than most people. And so I think I was able to kind of like hit this concept. It wasn't anything too crazy. You're not watching a half-hour video. It's short, it's to the point. Here's why they make good quest givers and hopefully useful for folks too.
Yeah, keep it punchy. It's
Yeah, keep it punchy.
appreciated. He said at the end of a 2-hour interview. I'm looking forward to the next big like community collaboration thing where both participating with, I don't know, two to 3,000 other people. I have no idea how many.
Yeah, right. I don't know. A million? Yeah, could everybody on
Yeah,
YouTube? I don't know.
approaching a million. There are at least dozens of us participating in the 5 room dungeon jam, which is
Yes.
maybe when you're watching this, it might have just passed or it might be this very week.
Yeah,
So
hopefully.
yeah. Looking forward to that. I got some cool ideas. What you want to share anything about what you're cooking up? You don't have to spoil the
Yeah.
whole event for us, but what are you working
Yeah,
on over
yeah.
there?
Little bit of a preview. So I'm actually working with Thomas Fitch, who, if you've seen my videos, probably know who he is. If you don't, go watch his stuff. Incredible. And so we're going to be doing kind of like a dual dungeon. So seeing the same rooms, but in a different light based on whether you go through mine first or whether you go through his version first. So kind of if you see mine, definitely check out his too. And if you've watched his, check out mine because they work really, really well together. That's, again, this is right now they're filming like 2 weeks away. So hopefully we don't totally mess up and miss out on this. But if all goes to plan, it's going to be super cool and awesome. So check out those videos for sure. But I'm really excited. A part of what when I first started, like half the videos I was making was like quests for people to use in their games. I don't make quite as many of those now, but I think it's like such a missed opportunity. Like there are places you can go to get quest lines for your games, but on YouTube, there's not like a ton of content being like, hey, take and like use this quest in your game or use this dungeon in your game. So to have this huge repository of like a Hill playlist with just dungeon after dungeon after dungeon that fits all sorts of different settings and timelines and levels, I think that's such a cool concept. So if you haven't checked out the Dungeon Jam, check it out. It's going to be really awesome.
I am pumped. Some cool people. Shout out to Stallion AB over at Mystic Arts DM, and several other people are spearheading this one. It's gonna be cool. It's gonna be very very cool. Naigobi and
Mhm.
I don't know if I'm giving Paladin Pros credit
Maybe.
inadvertently,
I don't know.
but he's cool. So check him out. And I'm pretty sure
Yeah, so
he's
go watch the
responsible for
videos
some of
anyway.
this. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Love it. I'm looking forward to yours. Actually, that's a very interesting concept. I want to see, yeah, how
Yeah.
that the twofer plays out. That's very cool. Very
Yeah,
cool.
hopefully we pull it off. Fingers crossed. Working with him, he's such a creative person. So some of the ideas that we have for it, I think are really awesome. Uh, Will we execute them? Find out soon, or maybe you've already found out, depending on when this comes out. But fingers crossed. Fingers crossed.
Awesome. All right, Tyler. I do hope you get the job over at Wizards. We're all rooting for
Thank
you.
you. God, me too. I would love that. First thing I'm gonna do, we're gonna be, hey, what's his name? Drixt, out of fashion, old school. This Ranger we just made, he's the new star. Get some books going. Get him in Baldur's Gate 4. This guy's gonna be plastered everywhere, so don't worry about it. I'll put it when I'm in charge of Hasbro and everything. Gonna be great.
Oh, I love that. You've angered many people saying Drist is over, but
Yeah, as someone
uh
who's never read any of the books, knows nothing about Driss. He's got a pet displacer beast. I think that's all I got. He's a drow. I'm sure. Yeah, my channel's canceled now. There was no more views. Nobody's watching the stuff. But hey,
R.A. Salvatore is gonna show up all the way from Boston to yeah, to
yeah, to
cancel
beat
you.
me up. Yeah, that's why I need this Hasbro job to go through now because this YouTube thing is not going to work out after this. So hey, Hasbro, if you're out there, please. Now I really need that job.
Everybody go check out the Bards College before it's gone.
Yeah, shutting down tomorrow.
Least well, Tyler, thanks. It's been a blast, man. Appreciate you.
Hey, thanks for having me on. Super fun.
Absolutely. Everybody at home, be kind, have fun. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Later.